Hey, let me ask you a question. In a typical week of school, how are you taking care of yourself? Because what I see a lot of is students who will go to class, they will work, they will study, and when the stakes get really high, they will repeat that cycle until they accomplish what they set out to do, which is complete the test or complete the class and go into summer or winter break, or just move on and graduate altogether. But the problem with that is by repeating that cycle, these students can burn out very fast and they can lose all of the progress that they ever made. So that's why I'm curious to see how you handle things. And if you are one who falls into this cycle of work, class, study, repeat, don't do that. In fact, I have a few suggestions for you that will kind of help to bring some balance into that life. And they seem kind of counterintuitive. They may seem like you won't make much progress if you do that, or you may even feel guilty through trying to take care of yourself. But I promise this is for the long term, this is for the best, and this is to ultimately avoid burnout. So the first thing when I meet with students and they tell me, I'm struggling academically, but I'm putting in a lot of time to study, I ask them, do you schedule your study time? So sure, we have our schedule set. So I know when my classes are, I know when my work schedule is, what time it's set for, and then typically I'll just study in between. But what's interesting is I don't have my study time clearly scheduled. And that makes a huge difference. One, because when you set time specifically for studying and you write it in your schedule, you know mentally that when you go into that time, that is for studying. If you don't have that scheduled, you'll try to squeeze in studying, but you're not fully committed. So if a distraction comes by, whether that's friends wanting to go somewhere, or if you just kind of want to zone out with Netflix, it's easy to lose track of that studying. But when you have it set, this is exactly what I'm doing. And then the other thing with that too is now that you have your study time scheduled along with work and class and any other responsibilities or obligations that you have, you now know when your free time is. So then you can take advantage of that free time when you need to use those self-care techniques. So one of the things that I would say in terms of studying is make sure you're taking breaks. Are you taking breaks? So usually when you're studying, a lot of students, what they will use is the Pomodoro technique. And you can find a lot of research about this on the internet. But what it is it's typically 25 minutes of very focused studying, followed by 5 minutes of a break. So you can set a timer, and when that timer goes off, then you take your 5-minute break, and then you go and watch TV for a little bit, get something to drink, just kind of relax and reset. Taking a break helps your brain relax. It also helps you kind of take a step back and reset. A lot of things that another strategy that I would recommend if you don't want to do the Pomodoro is very deeply focus on studying. And then when you start to feel tired and the words don't really make sense, that's kind of your brain telling you it's time for a break. And you can sort of feel your way out through that. Now, along with studying and taking breaks, it can bring a lot of stress. It can bring a lot of anxiety. So I think journaling is another thing that I would recommend. If you are someone who likes to get your thoughts out on paper, I think you can deal with a lot of emotions that way. You can start to think those out on paper. You can also get a lot of those thoughts that have been nagging you all week and taking your mind away from studying. You can get that on paper, and that sort of clears your mind. So when you do focus, you're able to focus with much more ease. Physically, are you sleeping? I always tell a lot of students, I know this is almost impossible, but strive to get 8 hours of sleep. There's a reason for that. There's science behind it, because what happens is if you're not getting a lot of sleep, your brain's not getting a chance to sort of reset itself and really start to marinate on all of this content you're consuming. Because when you're getting that prime sleep, that's when things are being put together neurologically. Your brain is starting to make those connections. And it seems because we don't have control over that, that we can't really believe that that's what's going to happen. Just because I'm asleep, suddenly I'm learning. That doesn't make sense, right? But that's what it shows. And when you wake up refreshed, you're also getting a recharged battery to sort of attack the day with everything that you have ahead of you. Another thing that can help with sleep, even if you're not, but it can also help with blood flow, is exercising. And I'm not asking you to go to the gym every day, but I'm asking for a consistent routine, even if that's taking a walk. I recommend to a lot of students to take a walk while they're taking breaks with the Pomodoro, and just getting outdoors, getting outside around trees. That can really make a difference on your blood pressure, and it can really start to help you mentally to really kind of work out any emotions or thoughts and really expand what you're thinking about. You may find often, if you do exercise regularly, is that sometimes a thought may come to you, or suddenly something just might click in the middle of a workout. And that's because you're giving your brain that space, because you're not trying so hard to study. You're just stepping back and doing something and giving your brain time to put things together. The last thing I would recommend about the physical aspect is, are you eating right? This sounds like common sense, but if you're eating a lot of junk foods, that's not helpful for your brain, that's not helpful for your energy. So really try to find foods that work for you. Everyone's different, so I won't recommend any specific foods, but try to figure out what makes you feel good. And I think when you listen to your body, that also helps with your mental energy. Some people like to go to class fasted, or rather they'll skip breakfast. But others can't attend class and can't focus if they don't have something to eat. So really kind of assess where you are and what your habits are and where you are best in terms of what you're eating and also when you're eating. The last thing overall, what I would say when you are trying to take care of yourself in a given week is just have fun. I've told students this often, is take some time for yourself and go do something fun. Not everything has to be a routine. Not everything has to be effort and work. Go watch a movie and not think about life for 2 hours. Just go have fun. Go hang out with friends. Go play with your pet. Because what's that is doing is that is your escape from the world. And the 2 hours that you take can make a huge difference in a week of studying and classes and work. But the problem is we feel guilty. Because when the stakes are high, taking 2 hours to watch a movie when I could be studying, well, why would I go watch a movie? I need to study more. But that's where you continue to wear yourself into the ground, and that's where you burn out, and that's where you're not going to retain any information that you're trying to cram in those 2 hours. So it's really using your willpower and discipline to actually have fun, which sounds crazy, but we have to find those micro moments when we have them to really sort of bring balance back into our lives. So even a little moment, those 5 minutes during the Pomodoro, or maybe it's half an hour to watch a TV show, or 45 minutes to go call a parent or a family member, or 2 hours to watch a movie, or even an hour to get outside and take a walk. Those things add up and they make a difference. And one way to think about it is look at the opposite. When you are not getting sleep, when you are eating poorly, when you are thinking too hard, when you are cutting yourself off from your social circles, those are all little actions that add up, and the end result is burnout. So just imagine what would happen if you took positive actions, those micro actions, the larger actions, and what would the cumulative effect be if you did those in a single week? Probably some pretty amazing things. So do you actually have a set schedule for your studying? Do you take time for yourself in a week? Do you try to balance your week at all? Let me know in the comments. And if you like this content, again, don't forget to hit subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next one.